We're going to jump right into a natal reading for Rene. I have your chart pulled up here. Just looking at the circle, you can see all the planets and luminaries mostly on one side, on the left side. That is pretty significant when just pulling up your chart. It jumps out to me. It's just somebody who's here in this world to really help put your personality onto the experiences and the places you go and the people you meet in this life. The world is here receiving something from you. Whereas if you had it on the other side, you would be the type of person that you're really learning who you are through the experiences and people you meet in this world. So you're already giving me the sense that you're a very strong person as far as your personality goes. You might feel like you already really know who you are and what you bring to a situation. You're not really looking for other people to teach you how to be or asking the questions of who are you. You're really looking to share who you are with others and help in more of a leadership or a by example kind of way. So I don't usually start there, but since that jumped out at me, I wanted to share that with you. Where I like to start is where we start the house one. That's your rising sign. That is when you're entering this world. That is what the constellation was rising on the eastern border while you were being born into this world. That's why the time of birth matters. So you're a first degree Libra rising. People who come into this world with Libra risings are people who are searching to find balance and a sense of peace in all the other settings that life has to offer. So in evolutionary astrology, that's because we believe in a past life. You did not have a lot of peace going on in whatever you went through. Maybe there was a lot of aggression or things that were just one sided. You come into the world this time looking for the ability to see both sides of situations, to learn that everything's not just black and white, that there's two sides to every story, and that you would really like to find a balance between the two and accept the two sides of every situation in people, places, things, that nothing always goes one way or looks one way, that there's usually another side to things, and that you can be okay with that and find peace in it. You really want to experience this serenity in your affairs. So the Libra rising person is usually perceived as someone who is pretty cooperative, because in their attempts to find peace in situations, they usually offer an olive branch of their own as like this bridge to connection with other people. They look for finding the balance. Sometimes they're like the mediators of the group. If people are arguing, they will try to bring people together on certain issues to create a sense of harmony and cooperation among others. It doesn't mean that you're any kind of pushover. It means that you value peace and you're willing to take the necessary steps to get it. And one of those is coming off almost like a politician, where you have to speak to people sometimes that how can we all relate? What do we all have in common? You're really good at bringing people together in a way of you can kind of feel what people have in common and what would bring a peaceful situation. So it's not so much about sacrificing who you are to get peace. It's about noticing in others what is alike. You have a great awareness of that. Other people who know you might say that there's this authoritative type of vibe to you. You have the Libra, is what we call a cardinal sign. It's one of the leaders. It's the one that kind of gets ideas off the ground, gets people moving. It's like an action oriented energy. And with the rising sign how you give a first impression to people and how you perceive new situations. You also have a planet Saturn and a planet Mars really close. So anytime, so not everybody has this. Anytime these planets are close to the what we call an angle here, it makes the planet a lot more powerful and assertive in itself. So it's going to add energy to wherever it goes. And so for you, you really have the energy of Saturn with you in your new beginnings and new impressions and new places that you go to. So Saturn is the authoritative planet. It gives you the sense of seriousness. People get this impression that you are someone to take seriously. You're not going to be like a fair weather friend that people meet. If you're there, you're giving it your attention, you're committed, and you're willing to put in the effort to see progress. With the Mars placement there, it makes you someone who's likely to take action. And it kind of puts a little bit more of the energy, it's a fire planet. So just think of how a fire, the flames, it's contagious, it spreads. Well, the fire energy gets people excited, it's combustible. You might even find yourself a little less likely to be this peaceable energy that other Libra risings are. You might be a little bit more blunt and a little bit more bold in your message. And you might even accidentally step on some toes more than other Libra risings because your sense for wanting justice and fairness and ultimately peace actually comes with this energy of really not wanting to tolerate less than that. So you might find that you have a little bit more instances where you don't hold back what you need to say. You're a little bit more likely to call people out on their injustices, and it's a little bit more bold and forthcoming way of getting peace, but it's actually very effective. And you learn that the more you're able to be direct, the more you really feel empowered in yourself. It's in the first house of self. So when you do take a stand on things, you feel a little bit more in line with your energy. We're going to move on to your sun now. They say where the sun is in your chart, that is where you can always go back to if you ever feel off course in your own life. If you feel like you're not really feeling aligned in yourself, follow the path of the sun. It's why in most magazines the sun sign is the focus, because it really encompasses our main motivations and our really most accessible consciousness in ourselves. So this would be the relationship that people think of when it's close friends and family, people that see you a lot, who really get to know you. Where the Libra rising is more of a first impression, the sun sign is now this another layer to you of the onion, but it's closer to what people who really get to know you would say about you. And in the sign of Leo, it's a very happy place. The sun loves to be in Leo. That is the ruler. That's the natural ruler position here. Leo is the sign of being very expressive in the self, feeling like you have a talent or a skill or a need to express who you are to the world. It is a sign of taking chances and doing that, because not everybody is going to be your biggest fan, but it doesn't matter because there's something inside of you that needs to be expressed and showed, even if the people on the receiving end aren't going to appreciate it. You still need to do it. But with the Leo, they really do want the approval. So where this Leo gets the credit for being brave and confident, and bravery and confidence are not the same thing. Bravery comes from realizing that you do have reservations. Maybe there is fear in how you express yourself or say your message or your expression of who you are in whatever way, but you choose to do it anyway. You're risking people not liking it, and maybe that does hurt. Maybe you do want it and you want the recognition from others, and it might not get it, but the bravery comes in doing it anyway. So the confidence over time grows when you trust that the right people are going to give you the right feedback and that you can shine as bright in your own life as you want to. The Leo in anybody's chart is where they need to shine and they need to be the spotlight. So for you, that is actually in most of your affairs. Your main identity and motivations come from taking the spotlight, being on stage, so to speak, in your own life. So you need to be the own authority in your own life. And in the house, the 10th house, that is our public reputation. So it's usually like, let's say you meet someone soon after you say your name and where you're from, they ask you what you do. The 10th house is the answer to that. What do I do? What do we know you for? How should we place you in our minds of public reputation? You know, a lot of times it has to do with career. What do you do? Oh, I'm a doctor. Okay, well then I know they probably did this type of schooling. They probably make this amount of money. I can start to categorize you. That's what people do. So the 10th house is usually the answer that you give to whatever you do. It sets your public reputation. It kind of makes a name for yourself to the community. It doesn't have to be career. It could be vocation, whatever you're drawn to do. What's the highest expression of yourself? A lot of people wouldn't answer with a job. A lot of people would say artist. Maybe I don't make a living from it, but that's how I express myself. So that could be the same thing for you. But whatever it is, you really build your identity from this calling that you have. People with a 10th house sun usually feel drawn that they have some type of calling, that they're not just doing things for the income or the prestige. They're really doing it because they want to master it and they feel like very driven to fulfill this purpose. So in Leo, it's usually something that is a skill or a craft or some type of stamp of you. So however you uniquely make it happen is of the important essence. It's not something technically that you just learn. It's something that you put your mark on it too. And it's going to be very important to how you perceive yourself. Your self-esteem is attached to your vocation in life and your public at large. So you spend a lot of time in the public eye with this. So if you think you're a private person, this would say, well, you might feel that way, but actually you're going to spend a lot of time in with the world at large. And that's what your sun sign needs you to do when you feel like you're off track. Check to see, have you done isolating too much, or have you been working with the people in the community? If the answer is no, then you need to get back on track there. So let's move on to your moon sign. Your moon sign is also very important because it's on the angle of your fourth house. So like I said earlier, any planet that's on an angle is really a lot more powerful than it would be otherwise. And the planets Saturn and Mars were close to your first house, and that's important for your personality, strength, and action and drive. But in the fourth house, that becomes part of your deeper roots, your family, your earlier upbringing. And so your moon usually represents the mother. It's the first relationship we felt intimately close with someone, usually the mother who provided all of our emotional and physical needs. It doesn't have to be, but that's usually the idea. So this may suggest that you were really close to your mother. Maybe you still are. Or you're really emotionally connected to your upbringing. You have a T square. It's a big aspect here in red. It's more challenges. It's going to your Venus, your moon, and your Saturn. And sometimes when Saturn and the moon are in a square, just there can be hardships in the beginning of life. Maybe there's not enough financial resources. That's a lot of the times the case. But it's really about feeling like you were able to make do. You learned a sense of responsibility and learning to use resources wisely. It gives you this early beginning part of your life, learning to be grateful and a sense of maturity all around from that. Usually, people that have this grow up to be a little bit more like mindful of resources, or they wind up being well off financially because they understand that they came from a place of not having in the beginning. It doesn't have to be finances. Sometimes it could be a relationship with parents. Saturn can sometimes be a stern parent, the moon being the softer parent. Sometimes there's tension between the parents, and you had to learn responsibility and maturity through not getting enough from them because they were busy in each other's affairs. So it's a sense of seriousness and maturity in childhood that later becomes a benefit for you because you already know how to deal with things in life that other people don't because they didn't have the need. So it's the taking advantage of any earlier hardships to then become a more prosperous adult. The That would be the benefit of the hardship. The opposing Venus in your chart makes it seem that there can be sometimes relationships between romantic affairs and personal intimacy relationships. There can be these opposing energies of what you want romantically versus how you really emotionally attach. So if the moon is our emotional security in the sign of Sagittarius, for you, you need a sense of freedom in your affairs. You really you love strongly. Sagittarius is a fire sign. It catches fire. It's passionate. It's really enthusiastic, and it loves very deeply, brightly. It really puts the close relationships in your life first. People that have a Sagittarius moon can become really protective of the people they love, especially with a Leo sun. I feel like you would do anything for people that you really care about. But that Venus on the other side is saying, well, romantically, though, you really are looking for a variety of intellectual romantic ideals. You want somebody who is mentally engaging, who keeps you growing and thinking and learning. And you need to be able to have like an ability to communicate thoughts and ideas freely. You don't want to be in a situation where somebody is more experienced or is the guru on something. You really want to go about love in a relationship with someone where you come in as equals and you can learn together through this fun, exciting partnership. No one's looking up to the other person. Sometimes with the moon in Sagittarius, there could be a tendency to be a little bit of the expert on things. So there's this tension there. You want to find in relationships that you don't come in as the expert on things, that you're coming in as an equal learner. Everybody's starting fresh, and it's an experience. We're curious to learn about each other in ways that we're not going to make presumptions. We're going to go in with an open mind and see what happens and not let past experiences guide us to preconceived ideas or expectations. So that's the challenge there. The Saturn is on the T square. Saturn's involved here, meaning to me that with age and maturity, this situation resolves itself. That because whatever you faced in life, maybe a lot of times when you meet people or love interest, you already have like preconceived ideas. But Saturn's involved saying, well, with age, with maturity, and with length of time involved in really working on relationships, you start to understand that we all have different strengths. And I can learn something from this person, even though maybe I've been through more, or I do already have a lot of independence, and I don't really need a lot from other people. Over time, you learn, oh, well, actually, if I come in with an open mind, I do get surprised in what I can learn from people. And um, it really does keep me curious and interested when I don't think I already know how it's going to go. So that's kind of the gift of the challenges is um, there is a other side that it's worth working on and worth the sometimes time it takes to get there. So let's see here. So yeah, you have a air, fire, fire, big three. So that just makes you an active person. You might be physically active. You like to stay busy. You need to physically burn off steam. You're probably a real like go-getter in ways that you don't wait for other people to tell you if you should do this or should not do this. You like to be the leader in these situations and really attack whatever goals you have head on. Like, I have an idea, the air sign of ideas. You might come on with sudden ideas that you think could come true for you. And then that fire just gets you moving. It's like literally the spark that turns into the fire of energy and a forward motion. Fire signs are here to do things and to get other people inspired to do things. Um, your Mercury now is not as strong as the big three influencers, but the next planets we talk about still have personality impacts. So Mercury is what we think about, how we communicate, where we are focusing our mental energies. Yours is right next to your sun, like all of ours. Mercury, the planet, doesn't travel too far from the sun, but it's actually in a different sign for you. It's in the sign of Cancer. So it makes you a little bit more reserved in speaking. Um, I think it's interesting because you have a lot of different energies here. I think that Libra rising is really trying to find balance in all of these different energies. You have the potential to go a lot of different ways. So you really are trying to experience what it's like to have both sides to choose from and come to a middle balance here. So when I integrate all of these energies, I see someone who can think and say whatever you want with that Mars in the first house. But now that I see this Mercury Cancer, I'm like, but wait, she does have a pause button and she has to feel like she's being received in a way that she can really express what she's trying to say before she says it. So Cancer needs to feel emotionally secure and it's very cautious in the way that it feels people out before it does things. So in the sign of Mercury, before you start speaking your mind on things, I could see you waiting for the right audience who's going to be prepared to listen to you and give you that ability to feel safe to be yourself. I think there's a different version of you if you don't feel secure in your environment that you will pause and not go all the way. Um, And I think this is to spare other people's feelings too. I think when you really get to know people that you care about, you're not trying to do harm. I think there's a sensitivity about the way you want to speak and come across to people who you care about. Now, when you first meet someone and it's a new situation, I think you're going to be who you are and you're going to lean into what I said earlier. But in this Mercury and the Sun, where you get to know like people who really know you, I feel like you're not really wanting to, you want people to nourish and be the best selves that they can be too. So, how you think about people and how you speak to people, it's people concerned. You care about people and you care about how you present yourself to the public. You care that you have the reputation of caring. You want people to see that in you and it's towards the top of your chart. So anything at the top of the chart is what you aspire to be. So if you think of yourself as a tree, the bottom is the roots of the tree. You plant yourself into this ground in the beginning of your life with your early experiences of childhood and your family. Well, the tree trunk grows up and all those leaves come out, and we look up to the tree because you have now grown into something that is beyond even what you could see in the ground, which is also deep and important. But the top is what everybody sees. So this is the public expression of what you could be. And your Mercury, how you think and speak, is right there. And it's in the sign of Cancer, which is the matriarch, the one who is providing unconditional love to people, who wants them to feel safe, who wants them to feel safe enough to really be themselves. And that's what you aspire to be, is someone who feels like they can disarm around you. And when they first meet you, they might not feel that way because you have a lot of strength in your personality. You are a strong person. You might have come from things that turned you into a strong person early in life. You have this maturity and you have this strength that could sometimes be intimidating. Pluto can be intimidating because it's very controlled energy. You give off this presence that you're in control of yourself. Other people don't have that. They're wishy-washy. They're all over the place. They're an emotional wreck. Life throws them a curveball and they fall out. But people don't get that impression from you. They feel like you're strong, and maybe they feel like you're so strong that maybe they don't know that you can relate to that. But the top of your tree or chart is actually somebody who really wants people to feel safe with them and feel like this caring energy. Please be yourself. Please feel free to be yourself. I am actually somebody very relatable. I've been through things, so I understand. I'm here to appreciate what you bring, and I want you to see you be the real version of yourself too, and feel this unconditional connection and potential love for that. Um, so let's see. So Venus, we already talked about because it's part of this. But Venus is actually our planet of discernment. People say love, it is love. But it's a discerning love. It's our taste. It's what we love. And it's because we also have things that we don't love. It's our style. Where the moon is more emotionally connected to partnerships, that intimate relationship that you have with yourself and others. Venus is the relationship, the more romantic, what our role is being a romantic partner to someone. It's less of a deep subconscious, intimate connection and more of an active choice that we make and how we decide who we are going to love. I hope the difference is clear there. So in Gemini, your your style of love is really that you would like to be learning about people as you are in relationships, learning how to communicate and how to relate in general. All this independent energy you have, you learn that you actually love when you can learn something new through your partnerships, your romantic partnerships. You might find that in Gemini means variety. You're attracted to so many different types of people, and it might be even hard to just pick a one serious relationship because you feel so much like you could love many people because you love all different kinds of people. Why put anybody just one type of person? So it doesn't mean that you're always going to be in polyamorous relationships. It means just that you might not have a set type of person that you're attracted to. You might be in love with people who are just witty, clever, well spoken. You have this taste for loving people who are well spoken in general, but just very thoughtful. That they're not so overly like boisterous or arrogant. They're always wanting to learn something new, and then they have learned a lot because of this curiosity they have. And you might really find that you're attracted to people who have like this childlike curiosity about life, and they just want to experience many different things. And you might find when you are in love with somebody that you want to do all kinds of things that you never really wanted to do on your own. It's in the ninth house of higher knowledge. So I wouldn't be surprised if you met someone through higher education of your own, if you found a love partner in college, or if you were studying a different practice of philosophy. It doesn't have to be traditional education, it can be anything where you're just exploring higher perspectives of anything. And you really are attracted to people that want to learn more. And you're there for it. Let's do it. Let's learn more. Let's always be students and let's keep asking big questions in life together. And we're really going to bond over our desire to always keep searching. We're always seeking this higher philosophy and the bigger pictures of things. Um, so let's move on to Mars. We already talked about Mars because it's on the first house, but this is also our drive. So I just see you being physically active, very driven to get your your stamp, like I said with the Leo, on the world. There's something that you have that you're not to keep it private, you're to give it away. You're here to spread your message, your talents, your energies, your ambitions, your ability to bring people together through how whatever motivates you. In the sign of Libra, it's usually a partnership. This air sign quality about you means connections to other people, but since you have such a strong personality, you're here to help guide them by being an example yourself. So always realize that you do have a lot of power in your presence. So there's responsibility with that. And there's this call to bring people together in unity and peace. And you get a lot of cooperation when people see that you're really passionate about what you're doing, and then it becomes contagious and they want to do it too, and they can hear you better. And when you are really talking the talk and walking the walk, that's when you're most effective. So your first house with the energy means you're here to really come to your own as an individual. And then that in turn is how people can relate back to you. So whenever you feel like you're being authentic is where you're really shining in the energy of your chart. And if you're not being authentic, then this Pluto energy will give you another chance. It'll transform things in your life to remind you what you're supposed to be doing is be authentic and really come into your own person and not let other people take that from you. Sometimes really strong people wind up with people in their lives who either are threatened by that or jealous of that, and they can try to shake that foundation. That's what happens sometimes when we aren't owning our own power. It is showed through us by other people who are very powerful that, hey, I want that too. That is me. I need to reclaim it myself. So if you ever are experiencing that, sometimes it's because you need to ask yourself, well, am I owning my power in my own identity? Am I physically how I want to be? Is my style how I want to be? Am I really, is my relationship with myself really getting enough power in my life? Or am I giving that away? Because Pluto is where the control will be for yourself, but it can be a big lesson for you if we're not doing what we need to be doing there. So the relationship you have with yourself is very important and needs to be attended to. It needs to be conscious and efforts to always be living your truest power. This Mars and this Plutonian energy is just like this power and this uh, not having concern for other people persuading you to do things you don't want to do. The relationship with yourself needs to be always feeling authentic and real to you. Okay, let's talk about your nodes. So the north node is where we're going. The south node is where we've been. The headphones are the north node. South node is the upside down headphones. So in evolutionary astrology, we believe that the north node is what our soul wants to experience in this lifetime. You don't have to believe in evolutionary astrology to benefit from this. You could also think, well, earlier in life, I acquired these skills. So later in life, I would like to acquire these new skills. So either earlier in this life or in a past life, you came into this world being very skilled at being like original and rebellious even, in how you expressed yourself and your talents, and you were very openly um, against what popular opinion was. You had a very strong sense of this isn't going to work for me. I'm going to do it my way. And the key here is I don't need anybody else. And that's what you did. You were the star of your own show, but you were doing it alone and without regard for what other people thought. So the challenge now in this life is, and what is good, you also have a son there, so you're already in the ego space. You already came in with the plus that you access this energy, hopefully in your norm anyway. Is now I need to be the star in my own show on the stage with an audience of people that I do care what they think. I'm not trying to be this rebel and go off on my own and do everything on my own. I don't need you guys. This time, I do need you guys. I want to be part of the group. I need to find my tribe. It's important to me that I feel like I belong somewhere, but I need to still be myself. I can't do it and be something that you guys want me to be, and sacrifice who I am for it just to belong. I need to belong. I really want to belong with you guys, but I need to not sacrifice who I am to fit in. So the real goal here is to find the right people that you really do want to form relationships with. Because summing this whole chart up to me, it feels like there's a lot of independent energy, and there's a lot of I've done this before, I can do it again. I can build a life for myself, and I can be satisfied. But the human experience is about connection. So what we need to do here is listen to the part of you that says, the only thing in my house of real organizations where you have this empty partnership area here. And empty doesn't mean not going to happen. So let me make that clear. Empty houses just mean there's not energy there to pull you into it where you're working on developing certain things. Your houses of taking energy to develop and um, guidance of this energy is mostly in independent areas. So you're independently creating a spiritual side, a physical relationship with yourself, your resources, your ability to communicate with the public. All of this is very independent energy. Where the houses are empty, meaning there's not a lot of energy there, there's not a lot of things pulling you over to that side. So it gives you more free will in these areas, which is fantastic. But when I see the North Node in the 11th house, it makes me think, but let's not get carried away in being so strong and focused in our own pursuits that we forget that we actually can benefit from these great relationships that we make with others. Maybe it doesn't always feel so natural, but over time, and that's the gift of the chart, is that we evolve there. The 11th house can be a later in life thing. So sometimes it takes us to adulthood to really start experiencing these pulls. And it's about searching, seeking, looking for these people that you really connect with on like deep levels, and where you're really being your authentic self, and that's okay. And that's even great. That's wonderful. That's what they want. That's what you need. And that's what they appreciate. And now your generosity in all that you have to give, because Leo is a very generous sign. When they're happy and feeling like they're being seen for who they are, they're so generous and warm, and people can't help but want to be around them. That's like the sun, the gravitational pull of the sun is the effect that a happy Leo has. People just want to be around them. So the question of your North Node is, will you let them? Will you have a tribe? Will you be this truly authentic person that is then able to really connect with people on these really energetic levels of being happy to be alive. And Leo loves that. They want to create magic in this world and inspire others and be competitive and really feel alive. Like that's the goal here. We want to feel alive. It's a blessing to be here, and that's how they feel about it. And people love that about you, and they want to be part of that. So that's the goal here, is to get that group mentality back that either earlier in life you didn't really need or want, even rebelled against, or in a past life felt that way. But this part is important. It's the piece here. You work hard to be who you are. Let's let other people see it, and let's let other people in, and let's really connect here and enjoy this journey of life together. And that brings you great fulfillment in life, and is the soul's journey this time. And there's there's a deeper thought to the 11th house too, is like this call for humanity at large in itself. Like I wouldn't be surprised if part of finding your group was people like-minded who wanted to be of service somehow. It's we have each other, we're happy, and now what can we do to make this world a better place? It's that kind of energy, and you have that kind of leadership that over time you might be pulled to those type of things too. As far as Jupiter goes, since we haven't talked about Jupiter is like our luck. Where in your chart are you just naturally lucky that you can roll the dice, take chances? You don't really have to worry about things there. That would be in your 12th house. Saturn is also there, which is kind of the opposite of that. But I think Saturn is more speaking to your ascendant. So I'm going to say Jupiter's the 12th house here. So you might naturally be gifted with your ability to meditate. Sometimes the 12th house is the unconscious, but it's really where we go to be in a spiritual state. It's like the you and whatever is beyond this. So it's this connection to a greater collective. Some people say the in-between of after this and before another round of humanity. But it's a spiritual state, and it's about really connecting with the spiritual world in yourself, the higher power in yourself, or whatever you believe that to be. It's like a gift that you have to be able to connect to that. And in the sign of Virgo, it is one of service too. You may feel like you really feel in touch with whatever your higher power is when you feel like you're doing something good for somebody else. Like the selflessness about you, that you're able to really help people who are less fortunate. And it makes you feel even connected better to your spiritual side. So whenever you are feeling down in luck, this is a good way to just remember how you are blessed with this gift, and it's easy for you to connect to that and give yourself a little boost. And I think that's everything. You have a lot going on in the chart here, but when I get going too long, I feel like we lose some of the impact for speaking on what jumped out. But it's very action forward energy. So you see over here, it's masculine energy and cardinal energy. So it's really about taking action. It's not so much of an introspective chart as it is a get out there and do things energy. And I think that it just makes you more of a leader role. If you're not in a leader role already, you should be. And it's about standing in your own power and really projecting that onto the world. There's really nothing to be hidden or reserved or too introverted about. Of course, the Libra rising is finding balance and everything, but it's a very active oriented action chart. So if you have an idea or you feel called to do something, fire signs are very intuitive. If you feel a strong intuition to do something, the majority of the energy in this chart is saying to do it. Don't overthink things. Don't ponder it too much. Don't discuss it so much. Just get out there and do things, because this is your energy. This is your strength of inspiring others and taking action. Okay, I will stop here. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much.